because I got up super early. My hair is flat. I don't understand why. I guess it's fine. Can't do nothing about it. It's probably the weather. Yo, it's going to snow again on Saturday and Sunday. It has me super stressed. Got hair everywhere. I'll kick my boots off. Oh, take my boots off. Take my boots off. I'm going to need all of these devices because what I have today is different. A lot different.
Power on. The Bluetooth device is ready to pair. The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
Something wants to act right today. So I'm wondering what we should start with. Maybe like some breaking laws, some breaking news. Hello, hello. I know, probably. But you know, if it happens, then I can just get out of here. I can just get out of here. If it starts to snow and I think that it's going to snow for a while, I can just get out of here because by that time, this court case will be dismissed. So I'll be free. I'll be free. I won't have this stress on me anymore from all of this bull crap. I still can't believe that I was a victim of a crime and I went to jail for doing the right things. It's still just unbelievable. It really is. And I think that I don't want to say God puts you through things, but sometimes little things in life align for God's purpose, like for God's word to reach you at the right moment. And everything that happened at that Planet Fitness that day, I see the bigger picture now. I see the bigger picture now. I see how important it is for me to keep my composure at all moments due to the fact of, number one, of who I am. Unfortunately, people see me and they make assumptions, and that causes me problems later on down the road. Also, having a YouTube channel, that does not help. The fact that I have a backbone, that I refuse to let people in society push me around. I refuse to conform. I refuse to be complicit in evil. All of these things, the fact that I'm a Christian, the fact that I'm white, the fact that I have a loud mouth, all of these things put a mark on my back. And the whole Planet Fitness scenario makes me realize how important it is for me to have control of my emotions at all times, especially when I'm dealing with the general public and we're talking about people that are not so happy with themselves. Also, how important it is for me to contain my emotions until I'm alone. You know, I can't let other people bring me out of my character any longer. And that is the number one thing that I learned with this Planet Fitness scenario, is that I have got to continue to be in control of my emotions and my composure and not allow people to affect my life with their words, their actions, their stupidity. And I think that since October, I've really been doing a good job with trying to grow from this experience. It is so wrong that I had to pay thousands of dollars to get out of jail when I did nothing wrong. Now, if you consider talking about gym equipment as something wrong, you're the one that is the problem in society. I have the right to free speech. And there's plenty of people that agree with the fact that Planet Fitness is a trash gym. So maybe I should have gotten out of there when I noticed that people were upset at the fact that I didn't want to be friends with them. See, the workers at Planet Fitness tried to invite me into their friend group. And when I found out that they were on drugs, I retreated and never spoke to them in that light again. I set firm boundaries. I let it be known that I was not involved in drug use and I was not going to hang around with people that were either. That's what kicked off these problems, you know, because I knew too much at that point. I knew that one girl was on drugs and, you know, I done said this to a different employee and, you know, they knew I had a social media page, but they couldn't find it. And, you know, this is why I don't have friends. Behavior like that. I knew better than to get myself wrapped up with these people because I could already see their character. And when I chose to not get wrapped up with them, it caused a whole list of problems. And it was one of those things where they were looking to nitpick about anything just to get me out of the gym because, in my opinion, not only did I know too much, but they didn't want van lifers in the parking lot or on the premises because they had been cleaning up the city of Eden, North Carolina for weeks and months. I went to West Virginia and came back, and all of the homeless people that used to be in Eden, North Carolina, all of a sudden disappeared in the month of October, right before November, the election. Sorry, my nose is running. So, you know, this was a multitude of things that set this off. This was not one scenario, but the goal was the same, was to hurt me, get me locked up, get my property taken from me. The goal, it doesn't matter, you know, how many different reasons they were trying to do this. The ultimate goal was to get me arrested for crimes I did not commit, and they ultimately did that. And I had to pay thousands of dollars to get out of jail. I almost lost my home. I lost all of the progress I'd been making because I had a mental health freaking meltdown from once again being incarcerated for the second time for crimes that I did not commit. And I learned a lot from that experience. Most of all, I learned that people are in fact evil. And adults will bold-faced lie on you in a courtroom, in front of a judge, in front of a district attorney, because they simply are jealous of you. One thing is for sure, I'm going to continue on this path. I'm going to continue with my composure and controlling my emotions no matter what I'm going through. I know half of you, that's not what you want to see. That's not why you follow me. But, you know, that's life. So tomorrow, this case will get dismissed. All of this will be behind me. If it starts to snow, I can just get the hell out of Dodge and I won't have to worry about the snow. Hopefully not. It might not snow. Who knows? I mean, it looks like it's gonna. It's like 70%. So that's usually pretty definite. I don't even know where to start. I guess let's start with Caitlin Gray. Y'all, happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. I hope y'all are doing well out there. Let me get all my devices up. So, a few years back, there was a woman. This is out of Australia, by the way. Sydney, Australia. There was a woman, Caitlin Gray, who was 20 years old. Hold on, I'm trying to find her picture. She was 20 years old, and her car was broken down on the side of the road, and there was a good Samaritan who decided to stop and help this young girl. She was only 20 years old. Car was off on the side of the road, and this guy stopped her. His name is Basic, and he offers to help Caitlin. And Caitlin takes him up on his offer, and there's actually surveillance footage of this encounter. And as you can see, he actually stays for over 2.5 hours helping Caitlin on the side of the road. How sweet, okay? How sweet. This is him. He was a 35-year-old male at the time. Caitlin was 20. He pulled over. He helped her. He was out there for hours. They hug. He actually fixes her car, and they hug. And then she gets in her car. He gets in his car, and they drive away. He was actually married with children. So this was no funny business. This was a good Samaritan that saw a young girl, and he wanted to help her. So there came a point where Basic as it is at work, and he is pulled into the office and he is fired. Then he is served with divorce papers from his wife. And then he is thrown in jail. Now, Basic is really confused as to what the hell is going on, because the last time he remembered, that girl was on the highway. She got back in her car and everything was fine. Little does he know that nothing happened to the girl. She just made some accusations against him. She said that he grabbed her breast forcefully and would not let her go, and he lunged at her, and he wanted some sort of, how can I say this? He wanted some sort of payment for helping her with her car when it was broke down on the side of the road. Now, these are her claims. These are Caitlin's claims. She goes to the police and makes these claims. And all of these dominoes start to fall in Basic's life. He's fired from his job. He's served with divorce papers. He can't see his kids. His life is falling apart because this 20-year-old girl who he stopped to help, whose car was broken down on the side of the road, she went to the police department following this interaction where he helped her, and she has him charged for crimes that he did not do. So I do think that this happened a few years back, but she was recently sentenced. She was sentenced. So there's actually CCTV footage, and you can see that he helps her. They seem comfortable. He hugs her. She hugs him. They embrace each other. They get in their cars and they leave. At no point in time did he ever grope her, lunge at her. And I highly doubt that he was asking her for some sort of sexual escapade in payment for him helping her with her car. I just don't see it, but you never know. There's no audio to the CC footage. So she kept this story for 7 days. And after 7 days, she told investigators that she made the whole thing up. My hair's getting on my nerves. I curled it and everything. Like I did the heatless curls. She tells investigators that she changed her mind. That he didn't do anything to her. That he never touched her. She's just been under a lot of stress, and she doesn't know why she made up these allegations that ruined this man's life. So at some point they let him out of jail, but I'm willing to bet the damn damage was already done, Like the ink had already dried on the damn divorce papers. His job had not even thought about him in a year at this point because he had been being held in jail. And, they finally let him out, and they decide to charge Caitlin. And rightfully so, because this is falsifying a police report. Not only that, I just want to be, I want to be clear that this man's life was torn to shreds. Like, this is the type of situation where we see somebody fall into homelessness and give up in life and off themselves. I mean, it's disgraceful. And he is planning to sue her. The rumor is on the street. I saw this in a different press release this morning. He is in the works of suing her for over $1 million. Now, she is incarcerated right now. However, they only gave her 9 months in jail. I don't agree with that. I feel like when asked by investigators, are you lying? She says yes. When asked why she lied, she said she just wanted him to go to jail. So it looks like he was originally charged with 2 counts of acts of indecency, 1 count of incite person over the age of 16 to commit an act of indecency, and 1 count of stalk and intimidating, intending to cause fear or physical harm. Those sound like some serious offenses. I mean, I know at least 2 of them are. So, Yeah, he could have went to prison for a minute. And I don't know if Australia prosecutes for sex crimes. We really don't in America. It's kind of one of those things that get a slap on the wrist when it comes to um, sex crimes. They're not taken seriously. They're not investigated properly. Evidence is destroyed, lost, or misplaced. We have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of rape kits that need to be tested in the United States currently. Cold cases that we could absolutely test those kits and solve these crimes. But it's not front and center. And I don't know if it ever will be. It's really sad the way that law enforcement treats these incidents. I'm glad that they took Caitlyn for real, but it was a lie, and I'm glad that they were able to sniff through her BS because she ruined this man's life. I don't care if he was able to get an attorney to help him with all of this. He literally lost everything, his kids, his job, his wife, okay? And it was all because he decided to stop and help her. Now, hypothetically, if he did say some stuff to her, first of all, it's one of those things where, y'all know, when I ran up on that boulder last year, I didn't want nobody's help. When I was stuck on the beach, I didn't want to be dealing with the meth heads that were trying to help me. I do that intentionally because it keeps you safe. If I'm broke down on the side of the road, I'm calling a tow truck. I don't need some random guy to stop. I'm going to get back in my car and lock the doors, and I'll probably already be in it already. But I don't want nobody's help because you don't know what comes with that. Just like I told you guys when I was working at the restaurant and the owners kept offering me money, and I told y'all I don't want their advance because I don't know what comes with that. Sometimes in life, you can't accept people's help because you're going to be putting yourself into a bad situation because you just got to assume the worst in people. Unfortunately, not to sound cynical, but you have to assume the worst in people. And the fact that this man was already significantly older than her, almost 15 years, right at, she should have knew immediately that she was a young girl. This is an older guy. So there's like a 50% chance that it's going to be that kind of scenario where he offers to help, but he's also trying to, he's also verbally sexually assaulting her while he is helping her. And, she's young though. She's young, but this is why I'm saying this. I just want young girls to know that you need to be careful accepting help, specifically from men, because, and women, but men, because you don't know what comes with what they are offering you. And regardless of what he said, regardless if he said anything sexual to her in nature, she should have just been grateful that he fixed her car and got the hell out of there and thanked God that he didn't murder her, okay? Or try to actually assault her. I just have to show you this picture again because I find it interesting that, like, she doesn't look like a very happy person. I'm just saying that not too many men would have probably stopped to help her. And then she gets one that's a good one that's out there for 2.5 hours working on her car. And then she drives to the police station and makes false allegations against him. And he loses everything he has worked hard for at least 15 years. It's just so unfair. And people like that have a place in hell. Absolutely, 100%. And once again, I just want to be clear that there's a 50% chance that he did stop to help her because she was a young, pretty girl. But there is no proof that he made any kind of sexual advances at her or that he physically touched her because we have CCTV footage. So let's talk about Andrew Tate, y'all, because I have not been in the Andrew Tate loop for like a few months now. I don't know what's been going on with him, but apparently we talked a little bit about how Romania had been holding him in the country for years. They wouldn't let him travel. One minute they'd have him on an ankle monitor. The next minute he was making bond again. Then they'd be searching his property again. So for those that don't know, there was allegations that Andrew Tate was wrapped up in ST trafficking with young girls, that he was propositioning these girls to come to Romania and that he would force them into selling their bodies on webcams and to other men. this investigation, hold on, let me just fact check. How many years has this been going on? So it looks like the Romanian authorities, they were looking into him for crimes including forming an organized criminal group, human trafficking, trafficking of minors, sexual intercourse with a minor, and money laundering. So as you can tell, these are not light charges. This is some serious stuff that they could probably in Romania give him life in prison for. I don't know. But this was going on for years. Years. This man was kidnapped by local authorities for years, not allowed to travel, not allowed to live his best life, all over lies. All over lies. That's what the investigative reports have shown. It's all lies. It was all lies. And now that he is a free man, he can finally go live his life again. He is actually planning to run for prime minister. Listen, first of all, I'm not a fan of Tate. I think that, I don't know, we have a lot in common, so it's kind of crazy that I'm not a fan. We're both big mouths, you know, we both say controversial shit. We both have backbone and spirit. We both have been wrongfully incarcerated or wrongfully pointed fingers at for crimes that we didn't do, so I can relate to that. You know, there's a lot that I can relate to him. And I agree with some of what he says. I don't know how he would be as a political leader. Someone said the desire to be a politician should bar you for life if you... Hold on. The desire to be a politician should bar you for life from ever becoming one. So I kind of agree with that, because we see a lot of people get into politics and they're self-motivated. They're not motivated by, you know, the people. They're not there for the citizens of this country. They're motivated by greed and corruption. And so this person was a comedian, Bill Connolly. He once said this, and I kind of agree with that. You know, psychopaths, narcissists, they thrive on power and control. So you give that power and control to the wrong person, and that's why we have people like Tiffany Hadley, Henley, whatever her name is, and Fannie Willis in positions of power that should not be there. And then they go into press conferences and they're cussing out the media and cussing out people in open court. I mean, it's just disgraceful. So anyways, all of these allegations against... Y'all, I'm having a brain fart. Against both of the brothers, Tristan, and... what is his damn name? Andrew. Both of these brothers, at this point, I hope the Romanian authorities leave them alone, because this has become a worldwide headline, and it's embarrassing. They've been doing this, I think, for 6 years. Somewhere between 6 and 3 years, they've been harassing these brothers, trying to pin them on ST charges. You know, they've served search warrant after search warrant after search warrant. Y'all, that literally... it's a high-stress situation where you don't sleep well. They're in your face. They're in your life. They're messing with you. And, like, you have to go through it to understand how traumatic it is to have law enforcement trying to frame you for something. Now, do I agree with these brothers owning an escort site of some sort? In my opinion, it's absolutely an escort site. These are prostitutes that willingly went to Romania, all of age. And they wanted to do this, you know. I don't agree with it. I think it's horrible for these girls. I think they're going to grow up and be messed up in the head. I think they probably already are messed up in the head. I think it's sad. I think that it's wrong that him and his brother were getting those girls to come to Romania and then supplying them with the tools to, you know, for them girls to harm themselves. But once again, those girls were willing to do that at the time. I see both sides. I think that it's evil. I think that it's horrible for society for these things to be promoted. OnlyFans, you know, all of that stuff, Pornhub, all of that stuff. It's brain rot. And I think that it's bad that they got involved in this. But let's think about the time that we are in, where OnlyFans and porn sites and all of that is front and center in society. Is it any surprise that these young guys who were up and coming, you know, social media stars. Is it any surprise that they went down that path? Because I don't think that it is. It fits right on par with their kind of, I don't want to say that they're narcissists, but they have an ego problem. You know, they have egos, and, you know, some men might look at that and say it's confidence. I don't. I think it's an ego problem. And I don't know if he's really going to run, but it looks like that he's planning on running for the UK. How crazy would that be? And it looks like Trump made a statement stating that he has no problem with it. That's even crazier. But, you know, Trump, either he's the king of satire or I'm just straight stupid, because sometimes I can't tell if he's for real or not. I'm like, he's joking, right? Like when he was talking about taking Greenland and Canada becoming the 51st state, I'm like, he's not for real, right? Like, but he looks like he's for real. So I'm like, is he gaslighting the whole world? Or, and now I'm looking at Andrew the same way. I'm like, is Andrew gaslighting us here? Or is this a real thing that's going to be coming to fruition? And, you know, I don't think that this would be a good move for Britain, for the UK. I don't think that it would be a great move yeah. Not only does Tate not know how to spell Britain, he also doesn't seem to realize that unlike the U.S. presidency, you can't actually run for prime minister. I don't know. That's worth a goo. Could Andrew actually be prime? Sorry. So that article that I was reading on, it's a bad article. It was like bashing him. So that's why I had to read a little bit of it. Unfortunately, because media is so hard, the news is so hard to find, media information is so hard to find. Sometimes I have to read opposing articles just to get the damn story. So influencer Andrew Tate is eyeing the UK Prime Minister's office and has launched his own party, Bruv. This is part of, I meant to bring this up, BRUV, and let me tell you what that stands for. Is it going to tell me? It doesn't tell me what it stands for. I think that it would be like, we thought Trump winning was crazy. If this man tries to run and win, it would be one of the craziest things. I mean, it's like Arnold winning in California, you know, it was kind of shocking at the time, but like, I think Andrew Tate would be even more shocking than Arnold or anybody else. I mean, even over people like AOC, yeah, she's dumb, but this is shocking in a different way if he actually attempted. Now I can't find what it is, and I don't want to get too hung up on this because there's a lot of stuff. So let's talk about this deputy, y'all. I don't know if he's going to run, but that's the rumor on the street. It might be satire. It might just be to get some reaction out of everybody. Yeah, I don't know what it means, and it doesn't tell me in the article, but I'll have that another day. It'll come up again. Let's talk about this cop that was arrested for crashing his vehicle while watching porn yesterday. If y'all haven't seen this video, I'll probably post a clip of it so you can see what he's doing while he's driving. So he's going down the road, officer minding his business, going down the road, and he's sitting in his patrol car, but he's driving. The car is moving, and you can see stuff going by in the footage. And he's got his phone like this. And all of a sudden, bam, he knocks the hell out of somebody, some little old person, which makes it even worse in my opinion. He sits there for a second, he throws his phone over in his lap, and when he does, we can see porn on the screen. Now, they didn't initially notice this until they did an investigation. With every accident, even if it's law enforcement, there will be a thorough investigation. There will be an investigation with any car accident involving a cruiser and a civilian or whatever. So they start doing this investigation, and they're asking him questions, and they're like, well, what were you doing on your phone? And he says, oh, I was in a group chat with some other officers that he works closely with. And they're like, oh, okay. So he says that he was reading a text, he was not sending a text, and it was from his brothers in blue. The lie detector determined that that was a lie, and they actually slowed that body cam footage down, and when he had passed his phone over, you could see a woman in certain stages of undress. And it is their belief that he was actually actively watching pornography. Cannot make this stuff up. So it looks like this morning, and this is out of Lake County, Florida. You know we crazy down there. A Florida sheriff's deputy has resigned from his job after he crashed into a civilian's car. You know, the thing that really was disturbing, let me show you a picture of this guy. The thing that was really disturbing is he actually sat there for like, I'd say a minute to maybe a minute and a half, which is a long time after a car accident, and you've already hit somebody and you got somebody in the middle of the road in a crashed car. You don't even know if they're okay, and it's literally your job to make sure they're okay. But instead, he is, and I'm sure he was shaken up from the crash. I mean, this is him. Let me find his name. Hold on one second. It's Tristan something, I thought. Yes, Tristan McCumber. He sits there for 30 seconds before he gets out of the car. And then for about 45 seconds to a minute, he's rumbling around the car, moving his phone. At one point, I realized that his seatbelt, he never even had on. It was actually hooked. When he stood up, you could see his seatbelt. He had hooked it from, So he was ultimately charged with 3 infractions. Number 1, not wearing the seatbelt. Number 2, being on his phone. And number 3, I think the accident itself. I could be wrong in that last one. But lo and behold, the man is married. Imagine being that wife today. Whoo. I'd be on the phone with a divorce attorney real quick, because he obviously has a problem with pornography. This is not normal. This is not normal. So his body-worn camera captured the steering wheel airbag being deployed after his department-issued cruiser had crashed into the back of another car. And once again, he's rummaging through the car. He's not even worried about the victim that he has just victimized. He takes minutes to even go ask that lady if she was okay. It was crazy. And he runs up. He's like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, I don't know what happened. My brakes locked up. Bold-faced lie. Bold-faced lie. In my opinion, he was getting his story ready. So it looks like they're doing, according to the new internal affairs report, the deputy told a sergeant that the brakes locked up before he rear-ended the other car that stopped for a school bus. Oh my God. This could have been so much worse. So much worse. So it says the investigation eventually found that McCumber wasn't truthful about what he was looking at on his phone right before the impact. McCumber initially stated that he was scrolling through text messages in a group chat with other deputies prior to the crash, but the investigation found that he was viewing something that is more visual and inappropriate on the job. And they're being, I guess, coy about what it was. But the headline reads, Deputy crashes patrol car into another vehicle while watching porn. Cannot make this stuff up. You can't. It's just too good. It writes itself, man. It writes itself. And right on par with stupid criminals today that are service workers that are, well, yeah, I mean, they're first responders and like educators. There was a teacher in Tennessee that was arrested yesterday. First of all, I got a picture of this girl, y'all, and this is what I be talking about when I say sometimes you can just look at a person and you can tell that they've had a very hard life, a very, 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 very hard life. This girl that I'm about to show you is only 24 years old. 24. Teacher of a middle school, recently hired. 24. I'm sorry, but I am 37 years old, and she looks like she's my age. First of all, if I was an administrator of a school, I could have looked at her and told you that something might be a little off, okay? I don't understand why drug tests are not randomized through the education system, but it absolutely should be, because I'm seeing more and more of these reports where teachers, educators who we're supposed to be able to trust with our children are taking drugs to school on campus and doing drugs while teaching class. And this is exactly what this teacher did. And they were tipped off. Let me see. I want to get my facts right. I can't remember if it was another teacher, and it might not have said, but pretty much she was a 6th grade English teacher, and her name is Mia Renee King, and she is 24 years old. Now, if that is a misprint, I hope so. I hope she is like 34 like me, or 44, but that is a hard 24 if she is in fact 24. It looks like that she was working at the Chatham Middle School in Ashland City, and they got a tip. It just says that the sheriff's office got a tip. It was probably from somebody in the school or a parent, let's be honest. And this tip said that they knew that this teacher, Miss King, was going out to her car on lunch break, doing cocaine, and then coming back to teach class the rest of the day. And they said that she also possibly had ketamine and cocaine at the school and on school property. So the resource officers responded to this and took this account seriously, this tip seriously. And the tip stated that she was using drugs during the day, that she would go out on her lunch break, use, and then come back and teach class. Now that's from the sheriff's office. So it looks like the officer, the resource officer showed up with another officer. They arrived at the school right before lunchtime. Right before she needs to get that use in too, honey. She's been there since damn 7 o'clock in the morning. It's 11:45 a.m. She got 15 minutes where she can run outside to her car and do a whole big ass line. It's crazy. Police timing is intentional. Let me tell you, this timing was intentional. So, listen, I'm not saying that this is good. This is horrible, but I find it intriguing. And being someone who did drugs for years, I can tell you where her mind was at. So it looks like they pulled her to the side and they said, "We need to talk to you." And they pulled her into the principal's office. They observed her moving slowly, exhibiting signs of anxiety, drowsiness, and confusion. That don't sound like cocaine then. You sure? The anxiety, yes. Drowsiness? I don't know, man. Listen. She might have been on a bender all night and she was dang tired from a cocaine bender. Who knows? She looks like she does them frequently. Not to be funny, but she was caught with drugs. So what you think she been doing? It's actually really sad. Let's see here. So they decided that she was actually impaired. They did a test to figure out if she was impaired on the job, and they determined that she was in fact under the influence of cocaine. At this time, they decided to search her property because that gives them probable cause to. And they found 3 baggies, little drug baggies, with cocaine, 2 of which were full, and then 1 had just a little bit of residue left, so you can see that she'd been using it. She also had a cocaine spoon and a rolled up $5 bill. All of this was found in her purse in the classroom. Now, I didn't see a bond on this, but they went ahead and, she was arrested, but I don't know if she's made bond. A field test was performed on the bags, and 2 out of the 3 tested positive for cocaine. More than 2 grams of cocaine were recovered. Her bond was $5,500. Oh, Lord. And once again, 24. Girl, you done messed up big time now. I don't even know what charges. I mean, other than the drug charges, but I'm sure that they're going to charge her with something for endangering children or having drugs around children, or I don't even know what that could be. Endangering the welfare of children. God, what if they hit her for one for every child? She could end up doing some time, and it might actually stick because, well, these were 6th graders. It'd be different if they were, I mean, I don't know, 6th graders, I feel like they would be more open to going through your damn purse. I don't feel kindergartners would know better over 6th graders. 6th graders is the age they start to get nosy. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to charge her with. It doesn't tell in the article what they charged her with. I mean, obviously possession of drugs. So, you know, and rightfully so. Crazy lady. When I was looking into that case, though, I couldn't help but notice there are thousands of those over the years. YouTube probably has 50 of them on this channel. Old videos of teachers getting arrested for possession of drugs and being drunk and under the influence while teaching class. I did not know that it was that. It's a pretty big deal, in my opinion. You send your kid off to get educated, not to be in danger. And if a teacher is under the influence of anything, your child is in danger. So it looks like, switching over, it looks like the House passed a bill to ban transgender student athletes from women's sports. So I guess this puts an end to it, huh? Until the liberal states, until, other states start passing new legislation so that they can reverse it in certain states so that they can allow grown men to play in women's sports. I mean, it's just crazy that we even got to a place where we were having these discussions, and I'm so grateful to the House that they are on board, clearly. But it looks like they passed this Tuesday, and the House passed legislation Tuesday that would ban transgender athletes from participating in women's and girls' sports at schools and institutions receiving federal funds. Keyword, institutions, federal funds, so keyword there. I don't know what is outside that spectrum, but that sounds like public schools, and it sounds like a little bit of normalcy will be coming back, a little bit of safety. It's really sad that young girls have been put in this position, and imagine how confusing it is for them. I mean, it's really a violation to them to expect them to just jump on board with this. Riley Gaines has talked about how she wasn't even informed that she was going to have to see a penis in the females' locker room. It just happened. And this is how these things have been thrown on young girls. And I've witnessed this myself as a woman in a locker room at Planet Fitness with male presence. It makes me uncomfortable, and it's one of the reasons that I refuse to use a gym now. That's why I shower at state parks, because I refuse to put myself back in that situation. Unfortunately, the state that I'm in currently, they allow things like that in North Carolina. However, Florida does not, and that's why I live in Florida now. So it looks like the bill, which would also amend federal law to say that, quote, sex shall be recognized based solely on a person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth, was approved largely among party lines to it was a 218 to a 206 vote. That was still kind of close, though. Y'all be like, oh my God, that's still kind of close. It ain't but just a damn couple of votes. Something that I saw was that there was Democrats that actually voted for this, in favor of this. So it seems like we even have some Democrats now. Are they fighting to not be considered part of the swamp because they know that they're going to drain it? Are they just doing this now to kind of jump on board and act like they care about Republican matters just so they can stay in office? Or do these Democrats that voted for this actually genuinely care about children, young girls specifically? Because this is a sports bill for schools. So I don't know. But I did notice that there was Democrats that voted in favor of this quite a bit. So like I said, there'll be something in the news in a couple of weeks. They'll be like, oh, we overturned this. We redone that. We doing it different in New York. We doing it different in California. That's another thing. I read an article this morning that was talking about Californians. A lot of Democrats in California have started to voice their concerns about the wildfires, stating that they will never vote Democrat again. I guess losing your $1 million property and having Biden only give you like $700 is enough to send you to the right side, right? It's sad that that's what it took for some people to see the light, but that's what I'm hearing. And I'm not saying all Democrats are floating to the right, but there are certain ones that have been publicly they've publicly voiced their concerns and said openly that they will never vote for Democrats again because of this. And I am happy to see that. It's unfortunate that you had to lose your home, but small changes, small changes. Let's see here. So I want to talk about Karen Reed for a second. I know we've talked about the case before, but apparently they're going to be allowing an expert in her case to testify. Karen Reed is a 44-year-old woman. Oh, God, did I even get pictures of her? I didn't. Hold on. Karen Reed was a 44-year-old woman who was dating an officer. This officer, Karen Reed, and a friend, I think his name was John or something. Anyways, John O'Keefe, who was a police officer. He's a Boston police officer. John O'Keefe, that was her boyfriend, sorry. John O'Keefe was her boyfriend, and his friend, who was also a police officer. Karen and these two guys go out. John O'Keefe's body the next morning is found dead in the snow outside of his fellow brother in blue's house. Karen was immediately arrested. They said that she backed over John. She left him for dead. He froze to death. Y'all already know how I feel about this. In my opinion, they are trying to frame Karen. A lot of the public feel this way. They said that Karen Reed, and she was a finance professor in Massachusetts. She's accused of intentionally backing her Lexus SUV into her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, a Boston police officer, and leaving him to die unconscious outside of a house party in a blizzard. There was damage to her vehicle, and we've been over this. It is my belief that she did that in an accident. She said she did it in an accident. There was pieces of a broken taillight in John O'Keefe's partner's house, and there was also a dog on the premises of John's partner's house. Now, this was his brother in blue. This was also a patrol officer in Boston. Both John and him were on the Boston PD, Boston Police Department, and this other officer had a dog. Well, as it just so happens, when they found John's body in the snow, he had all of these weird gashes, which defense attorneys are saying were dog bites. They believe that John was killed inside the home by his brother in blue, that a fight broke out after a night of drinking. They got to squabbling. The dog bit John, scratched John, and then the brother in blue placed him outside to make it look like, because he knew that Karen would be coming back for him the next morning. So when Karen came back for him the next morning, she finds him dead in the snow. Now, another thing that was very interesting was there was Google searches from inside the home of John's brother in blue. And it said, quote, this was the exact Google search: how long will it take a body to die from hypothermia in the snow? Now, Karen was not at that property when that Google search was done, because Karen had already went home. So whoever Googled that, in my opinion, is who placed John in the damn snow. I can't believe that we're even having these type of discussions over cases like this, but unfortunately, it wasn't a year for Karen. I think that, first of all, her name being Karen puts a target on her back. Second of all, it has not been the best time for justice in the justice system, okay? So I feel like Karen got caught in the crosshairs. She made some pretty incriminating statements when she initially found John's body in the snow, and they called the cops and they got the EMS out there. She was hysterical. She said, oh my God, I did this. I must have run him over. I must have run him over. It was an accident. I must have did this. First of all, they had all been drinking. Second of all, Karen and John were not arguing that night. She was dropping him off. They had all, hung out, and she dropped him off to hang out with his brother. And then the next morning she comes back because she hasn't heard from him, and she finds him dead. I'm sure at the time she might have thought that she backed over him the night before. And, she'd also been drinking. So I just want to keep reiterating. She'd been drinking. Now, the issue is those Google searches and those marks all over John's body, not to mention the autopsy does not match up with his body. It just doesn't. It does not match up with him being ran over by a car. So there's no evidence of that. The only evidence in this case, unfortunately, is Karen's damn old statements. If she would have kept her damn mouth shut. But you roll up to the scene of the man you love, the love of your life, your soulmate. You roll up and he's dead in snow. And I'm sure she was questioning, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? How did I not hear it? And, at the same time, you have investigators around you, and they are telling you that you did this. I just want to be clear. They're not asking you. They're telling you that you did this. So, she made a lot of incriminating statements. But it is my belief that Karen Reed is actually innocent. And, anyways, they are going to allow, the judge approved for a bite expert, a dog bite expert, to testify at Karen's trial. Now, this will be her second trial. Her first trial ended in a mistrial, rightfully so. I mean, it's so, the whole case is so dirtied up, the evidence and the lack thereof, and circumstantial evidence that just doesn't even make sense. This is definitely the type of case where you can look at the evidence and you can see how they just twist stuff around. They manipulate the evidence to fit their narrative. This is definitely one of those cases. The fact is it is my belief that John O'Keefe got in an argument with his brother in blue. They got in a fist fight. The dog got involved because his owner would have been under attack, type of thing. And it's my belief that John's buddy in blue placed him outside and left him to die. And hopefully with a bite expert, maybe with the jury hearing the actual evidence that this man was bit by a dog, maybe she'll be acquitted of these charges. They were looking into his brother in blue. And I can't remember his name, but yeah. We'll circle back around to this one too. I just wanted y'all to know that the judge did allow for a bite expert to speak at her trial. The first time they would not allow that, so this time they did. And y'all, I wanted to talk about Natalia Grace, and now I'm just like, hold on. Lord have mercy. So I remember this story back in the early 2000s. It was the late 2000s. It was like 2011 or something. When did they adopt her? So hold on, I got pictures coming. Let me get gassed up. Y'all, I'm so tired. 5 a.m. be coming early. Tell me why I ordered nicotine patches from Stop Smoking Now through North Carolina, NC, whatever. You can order patches to quit smoking for good. And they'll send you lodgings, like gum to chew patches. So I went ahead and ordered some so that maybe I can cut back on my smoking, at least on camera. Oh, God. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to ignore the chat, y'all. I just have to focus on this, and I've got to switch some stuff up so that I can keep a right frame of mind. So let's talk about Natalia Grace. So this little girl was born, allegedly, and I say that because this whole case That is what is up for discussion. How old was this damn orphan? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. We now know, and I'm gonna tell you guys, but this was Natalia. She was a Ukrainian orphan, and as you can see, she suffered from dwarfism. And I can't say, I was trying to pronunciate that whole damn name. Dysplasia congenita. It's a rare form of dwarfism. Now, she was diagnosed with this from birth, and she came to the United States as an adoptee. She was adopted by Kristen and Michael Barnett in the spring of 2010. Now, Natalia had actually had previous adoptive placements prior to this, and she was really hoping that Michael and Christine were going to be her forever home, because she had come from the Ukraine. She was born in the Ukraine, and she was adopted by an American family, but that American family actually abandoned her 2 years after adopting her. And then the Barnetts decided that they would adopt her. They actually took her on as a temporary foster placement, and 2 years later, they said, we're going to adopt her in 2012, and so they did. They sought a court order to legally change her birth year from 2003. Oh, hold on. I'm getting ahead. Sorry. So it was believed that Natalia was born in 2003, and she was adopted by the Barnetts in 2010. So she would have been 7 years old at the time that she was allegedly adopted. Okay. 2 years after the Barnetts officially adopt Natalia, all of this weird stuff starts to happen. Okay. Christine claims that Natalia is threatening to kill the family. And something I did not know about this case until I was researching it is that the Barnetts actually had 3 grown boys with no disabilities. So that's the Barnetts. That's Michael, Christine, and their 3 young sons. This is the family that would adopt Natalia. And I just have to say that this lady right here is an evil piece of work. That Christine, that blonde girl, evil piece of work. So it looks like Christine started to say that Natalia was a problem. Natalia was acting out. Natalia was trying to kill everybody in the house. Natalia allegedly, at this point where she's like 9 years old in 2012, Christine makes these claims to a doctor that Natalia has already started her monthly cycle and that Natalia had a full bush down below. Now, whether or not this is true, Natalia says that none of this is true. Christine and Michael still swear that it's true, that they thought that Natalia was like a 20-year-old woman because of these things. It is very clear from the pictures that this was a child. I just want to show you again because I want you to see the difference. This is when they adopted Natalia. And this is her grown. So you can see the childlike features. My phone don't want to work. The childlike features and how different they are to the mature face that she has there. And I'm sorry about the line on it, y'all. I do the best that I can when I can. So Christine and Michael are saying that Natalia is threatening to kill them, that they catch her with knives, that she was just problematic. This was after they adopted her, though. So she was with them for 2 years. They could have not even went through the heartache of adopting her only to abandon her, because that's what they're about to do. They petitioned a court in Marion County to change Natalia's Ukrainian birth records to indicate a date of 1989 instead of 2003. For some reason, because Natalia was in an orphanage in Ukraine, they did not exactly know when exactly she was born. They didn't know her birth year or her birth date. So it looks like in July of 2013, after they changed, listen to this, they legally changed her age from 8 years old to 22. This was a 8-9-year-old child. And they petitioned a court to change her age to 22 based off of the fact that she supposedly had a menstruation cycle, based off of the fact that they were pretty sure she was an adult, and based off of the fact that she had allegedly body hair. that only an adult woman would have. And this was, in fact, a 9-year-old child, because we have test results back. And it just so happens these people actually abandoned this child, and they did it intentionally under false pretenses, under the guise that this girl was 22 years old. In July of 2013, the Barnetts moved Natalia to an apartment in Westfield, Indiana, and later to Lafayette, Indiana. The Barnes then moved along with their biological children to Canada, leaving Natalia alone in the Lafayette apartment. So I want to say before I forget that Natalia, even though she's an adult now, she has a new adoptive family that really seemed to love her and be there for her. And I'm glad that she finally found a forever family, because it sounds like she went through absolute hell from the moment that she left Ukraine, before she left Ukraine, to, recent years. And you want to hear something crazier? There are actual documentaries with Michael, the adoptive father that abandoned her, and Natalia that sat down, and she confronts him on camera. And I think it's either E or it's a crime network. If you just Google on YouTube, Natalia Grace and Michael, their interviews will come up. And it's amazing to me how incredibly immature Michael was. Michael Barnett is a joke, just like Christine Barnett. Both of them, in my opinion, here's what happened. They liked how it looked to society that they were adopting a child. When they figured out 2 years in that they were going to have all of these financial responsibilities that came with this adoption, and that they were going to be financially responsible for all of her health care, that's when they decided to back out. That's just my opinion. I don't think that Christine or Michael was well equipped to deal with the physical aspect of taking care of Natalia, and I think that that's one of the reasons that they abandoned her. Not only that, clearly these parents should have never been parents. They're not good parents. For them to abandon this girl and leave this child, who was essentially 9 years old at the time, by herself in a whole nother country, when they adopted her and took on the responsibility to care for her and love her, it is beyond neglect. Okay, beyond. This is child abuse, and I don't know if they were ever arrested. I feel like they were arrested at one point. We'll look in a minute. So it looks like, they were. The prosecutors for the neglect case against the Barnetts were able to locate Natalia's birth mother in Ukraine. Natalia's mother was identified as Anna, girl, that's like 30 letters, Gava, who was born in April of 1979. DNA tests confirmed that Gava was Natalia's biological mother. Oh, God, when the timeline don't match up. So if Natalia's court-assigned birth date of 1989 were correct, that would mean that her mother, Gava, would have given birth to Natalia. She was only 10 years of age. So it looks like prosecutors also obtained birth and hospital records from Ukraine, which support Natalia's original September 4th of 2003 birth date. The prosecutors were barred from presenting the evidence that Natalia was a minor child born in 2003 when she was left to live alone in an apartment, and the neglect case was tried based on Natalia's disability, not on her age. Wow. So prosecutors tried these parents for the neglect of a disabled person. But they didn't try the parents because they abandoned a 9-year-old girl. I mean, that's pretty crazy to me. It's pretty crazy. So Christine, the mother, and Michael always claimed that Natalia was lying about her age, and also exhibited psychopathic behavior. I just don't believe it, man. I mean, Natalia, she's 22 or something now. She seems more normal than the whole Barnett family. And I ain't trying to be crazy. I mean, that's crazy in itself. But these parents were cruel, heartless. They absolutely, let's see if they faced any actual jail time, because I don't think Michael and Christine Barnett jail sentence. So their whole premise for abandoning her was that she was an adult dwarf, and that the the agency, the orphanage that they had lied, and that the people that they had, adopted her from through the states, that they were liars. It was like this family thought that all of these people were in on trying to push this adult child off on a foster family. I mean, that's just crazy. It doesn't even make sense. I'm not seeing where they went to jail, but y'all, I'm so hungry. My stomach's about to growl. Listen, it's about to go. I'm starving. So it looks like Natalia did a docuseries, and she accused Christine, the mother, of pepper spraying her in the face, beating her with a belt. She also claimed that Michael would hit her too, and that he was manipulated and mistreated by Christine as well. I watched part of the docuseries of Michael and Natalia sitting down and talking, and he is incapable of taking responsibility for his actions. He does nothing but make excuses. You are supposed to be a father, sir. And actually, you are supposed to be the man of the house. You're supposed to be wearing the pants. I don't know. I don't get it. He blames Christine for both of their actions. And I think that it's very childish and it's very telling. Natalia got no validation. What's the word? She got no... What is the word I'm looking for? She went and met with this man to find some kind of peace, resolution, amends. She got no amends in this situation. She got no, I don't know. I can't think of what it's called, but kind of like validation, but not that. Looking to see how much time. I don't know. She really got no answers from him. He kind of, like I said, he gaslit her around. He said that he was thinking about leaving Christine, the other, his wife at the time, the foster mother. And she's like, well, why didn't you leave Christine? And he says, I tried like 10 times. And she's like, well, why did you let Christine just run all over the whole family? Why did you let Christine, do this, this, and this? And he's like, I don't know. I was just going along with what she wanted. And I don't know. I've seen so many interviews of the Barnetts, and they just rub me the wrong way. They are not people that, if I was a social worker, I would have been able to hone in on their phoniness, their motivation for wanting to adopt Natalia, and I would have said absolutely not. But that's probably why I'm not a caseworker, right? Because I wouldn't make the department any damn money. We'd be in the poorhouse. We'd be in the poorhouse. I'm already there, but you know what I mean. I feel like when it comes to vetting families for foster care, there needs to be a psychological component that caseworker is able to pick up on. Reading people is a gift, and the longer I'm out here surviving, the more I realize that my gift is extreme, and I need to hone in on that, and that's what I've been doing recently. And if you get offended by my content that points out basic psychological components to people's behavior, then maybe don't visit the channel. I want you here, but that's what we do here. And so, if I want to post a bride on her special day getting disrespected by her groom, and I want to point out the psychological components to his maturity level, I'm allowed to do that. And we're going to be doing a lot more of that over here. And matter of fact, I'm going to have some cop videos coming on the same type of scenarios, should this guy be a cop or should he not? Oh my God, you guys, did y'all see the short last night of the woman hitting the teenage boy in the face? Let me tell you what happened before I go, and then I gotta go do laundry and find food. But this woman is driving in a car with her boyfriend. There's another woman in front of her that brake checks her. The girl gets off her butt, and then the woman slams on brakes, gets out of her car, and walks up to the car that has a teenage boy and a young girl in it. And they probably early 20s. That's what they look on camera. Anyways, the woman, who is a middle-aged white woman, raging. She's like, get out of the car. You've been driving crazy. Ma'am, you just locked your brakes up in a residential area, hopped out your car to go fight this young couple, and you're lying to them, telling them that there's a man in your car when you can clearly see from surveillance footage that there is not a man in that car. This woman, this Karen, was asking for it, number one. Let me tell you how she was asking for it. Because she locked her brakes up, was blocking, impeding traffic. That is the real word that I'm supposed to be using. She was impeding traffic. No cars could go around her. And then she approached the vehicle. She was asking for it. So the young girl at this point has done locked the doors, and the lady is saying, you don't want to fuck with me. I got a man in the car. He'll get out and whoop your ass. Da 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 da. There was no man in the car. This lady, cuckoo, cuckoo. So at this point, this young guy steps out of the car, and I knew something was about to happen because this lady was off her rocker, and he's young. He should have never got out the car. But I'm about to tell you what happened because nobody went to jail. So he gets out the car. He walks around the front of the car. He's telling the woman, like, hey, calm down. This is not a big deal. You know, you're driving like a maniac too, dude. You got the road blocked, da-da-da-da. And he goes to turn around to walk away, and this lady just hits him with a side hand hook, okay? She got him on one of the Jersey it was a Jenny swing. It was a Jenny swing, okay? If you know, you know. So it was a Jenny situation swing. And that boy turns around. He cold cocks that old lady. He picks her up, and she looks like a damn sumo wrestler in his arms because he's a skinny little thing. And he slams her so hard. And y'all, when her body, when her spine connects with that ground, I'm telling you, she felt that shit the next day. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't do some serious damage to her because she hit that ground so hard. And let's also take into account her age. I wouldn't be surprised if she's in a hospital somewhere right now, hiding from society, from embarrassment and shame. So what ultimately happened was a homeowner actually released that footage, or a business. Of course it goes viral. There's been no cop call. The woman didn't call the cops, as it seems, as from what I heard from 2 reports this morning. When I looked into it, I wanted to know if that woman went to jail for assaulting him. I wanted to know if she went to jail for road rage or some crazy shit. And I also wanted to know what happened to him, because he don't deserve to go to jail. By far. By far. But it looks like nobody called the cops. It looks like the 2 kids got in the car and went on their merry way. I'm sure that girl and her boyfriend are rolling around right now over the crazy shit. And I have no doubt that she was riding that lady's ass. That's another thing I wanted to mention. I have no doubt that she was riding that lady's ass. And that's how these things get started. 2 wrongs don't make a right. But if you put your hands on somebody, expect not to live. That's actually what you need to expect. If you out here putting your hands on people, expect to be killed. There you go. There you go. Because that's always what could happen. These things go south so quick. Accidents happen. I had a friend in high school that got punched in the face with a pair of brass knuckles. He died on the spot. Literally getting chill bumps. Things happen quick, and that lady was absolutely in the wrong, and I have no doubt that she is somewhere in a bed right now wishing that she would have just let that shit go. I mean, hell, no, I was going to give you bad advice. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm glad I thought before I spoke. I was going to give you bad advice, but don't do that either. You know, it's best to just keep a safe driving distance, which is supposed to be a car's length. And, you know, pay attention on the road and don't be speeding and obey traffic laws and be respectful to other people. But just know, if you put your hands on somebody, expect to die, because the chance is always there. I hope you don't. And Lord, that's what I was talking about when I started this. Don't let nobody bring you out your character. Don't let nobody have that much control over you, because that's what they do. They have control over you when they get a rise out of you. They have control over you. And, you know, that's not healthy, and it's dangerous, and you might end up in jail. So stay safe on the roads today. I'm going to find me something to eat, and I hope that y'all have a good afternoon. We'll talk in a little while. I got to do laundry and stuff today, so we'll do some cleaning, get some stuff done. Hello, Leon. Hope you're doing well. Did I tell you that there was a man named Leon that was on the church bus? He actually drove the church bus with my uncle, and they'd switch off, and Leon sat in the back with all the kids that were, you know, big old damn 20-person shuttle van from the 80s type of deal. And they go through the neighborhoods, and they pick up all the church people before church, and then they go to church, and then they drop them all off. But Leon used to be on the back of the bus. And y'all, when I tell y'all that old man, he didn't play. He would pop you. I remember getting spanked by him. The 80s was a wild time where you're getting your butt whooped on the darn church bus by a damn stranger. He wasn't a stranger. He was in the congregation, and he also was like he was one of the tithing people that take the thing around, you know. So I haven't thought about him in years. God, he was a good guy. You know, I mean, he was my elder. He's old enough to be my grandpa. But Leon didn't play that on the church bus. He would tear your butt up and then go tell your mama. Then go brag about it and laugh with my grandma about it. Oh, you did? No way. How many times you have to pop her? Things was different back then. But I hope you guys have a great afternoon, and pray for me, because God knows I need it, and I'm praying for you guys, and y'all be safe out there. Bye, y'all.